All right, folks. Welcome to my favorite NES games. This was started out to be a top 20. I've got 20 games down here. I'm just going to kind of pick and choose. These are in no particular order. Just ones that I really like to play. We're going to start things off with T&C Surf Designs. This is quite possibly the only surfware-inspired NES game that's ever existed. It is an odd pairing, but I think it's really cool. It's one of my favorites. It appears that I have not set up my controller correctly. So we're going to do the ever-popular dead air while I get this going here. Let's see here. Tools. Sound. Input. I don't know why I always have to do this. It seems like it should save, but it doesn't. It's saved. I don't know. There we go. Okay. That's right, Ricky. They can hunt me down. Although I don't believe that T&C Surf Design has ever been released on any particular virtual console type thing. So this game is actually pretty deep. You've got a couple different. You've got the hold on to your board and jump move, which you need a lot more often than not. You've also got the jump without the board option, which is good. You're collecting those little spinny things for points, but the most important thing is you're just trying to get to the end of the stage. So that's worth 500 points. Also, when you jump, I'll show you on the next stage here. Thank you, Pishbot. I'm glad to be back. I also love the fact that you're a cool California surfer dude. You get two options when you select a guy. You can either be a masked kind of tiki guy, or you can be cool California dude, who I always pick. So this game is just based on a number of rounds, and the biggest points you can get are actually just jumping up on that fence. It's $1,000 a pop. Or 1,000 points a pop. Oh my gosh, 10,000. Well, it's no wonder they're having trouble with their servers. I always thought that sand trap looked like the state of Kentucky. But I played this a ton growing up, and I'm not really sure why. Other than the fact that it's just sort of mindless. And once you can see that the time will actually stop once you get all your yin-yang symbols, which you get by not dying or not crashing. Yeah, absolutely, Pishbot. Everything was smiling at you in the 8-bit world. The world of the brown had not come yet. The Nintendo actually couldn't do a very good brown. It was either orange or red. So you see, you lose yin-yang symbols when you die there. I've never played Gimmick. I've never even heard of that. Oh my gosh. All right, I will give it a go. You've given me some great recommendations over the years, Pishbot, including the ever-popular Do-Re-Mi Fantasy, which I still play to this day on my my SNES Classic. Fantastic platformer. So I don't believe that it's possible to beat this. I think it loops indefinitely. However, on the second event in this game, the surfing event, there is an end to it, and you get scored. Or you get a certain amount of points or something. We'll check it out. All right, timeout. So I've lost. All right. So now we check out the second event, the big wave encounter. And like, I don't want to be that weird cat slash, I guess it's a cat, but it looks kind of like a pig with whiskers. I got to go with Thrilla, the cool guy, cap wearing backwards, I guess it's forwards, gorilla. So I watched a rather in-depth video of this on YouTube on how to win at this. Where they gave you all kinds of like hints and tricks. I can't remember any of them. So I'm going to play this just like I did growing up, which means not too well. So the idea is, you know, you're constantly working your way back and forth, trying to score points. Yeah, he does kind of look like a muscular Yogi. So this is the end of the stage here once you get to the pier. And it's just a question of whether you can survive or not. Yeah, it is very similar to the Surfing California games. So there's the end. And then it just repeats over and over again. I'm gonna see, like, yeah, I got nothing. So anyway, I hardly ever played the surfing version of this game. I always played the just the skateboarding thing over and over because I couldn't get a handle on it. But it is possible for you to actually get up on top of the ocean, you know, and jump up there and stuff. And I just never. You're always fighting that current. So that's no good. Let's go on, shall we, to number 2 on my list. This is a game I'm sure many of you are familiar with. Kung Fu. So this was known as Kung Fu Master in the arcades, and here in the on the NES, just Kung Fu. Yeah. That's true. I always found that strange, the whole Teenage Mutant Hero Turtle phenomenon. Oh boy. So I couldn't get enough of this game growing up. I thought it was just so much fun. The action it's fast and furious, and at this time I was coming from an Atari 8-bit computer, which was what Eep and I were playing last night, and there was just nothing that moved this fast or looked this fluid. The sprites were huge for the time. You know, I never played Foxanadu, Retro Hammer. I've read about it a whole bunch, but that one just kind of passed me by. I know it's like a role-playing thing, like a side-scrolling role-playing game. That's right. Beat the first stage. Oh yeah. Get that funky theme that plays there. The thing that's crazy about this game also is the amount of damage that certain things deal. Like, if you get hit with one of those pots, it takes away like a massive amount of health. Which I guess you are getting a pot dropped on your head, so I guess it makes sense to some degree, but... See it like that? Yeah, you just can't. Well, you know, it's definitely a personal preference. However, there are some games that are on the NES that just could not be done on the C64. I mean, you can't... The way that Super Mario Brothers scrolls... you know, you couldn't do that on the C64. Just the hardware is too different. The C64 definitely excelled. It was kind of like the Amiga, where any game that tilted towards keyboard controls, or you know, you definitely had a leg up. Man, I know what I'm not good at. And that's talking and playing Kung Fu at the same time. All right. Let's move on, shall we? Speaking of which, the next game on my list is Super Mario Brothers. So this game, of course, changed the world. There's the world of video games before Super Mario Brothers and after Super Mario Brothers. No single game outside of, Pong did as much to change the entire landscape of the scene. This game did things that no other game of this type had done in terms of the smooth scrolling, the animation of the enemies. Everything about it is just so novel. The size and scope of the game, the level design. Yeah, the music. Well, I'm going to try and beat it. So we'll see how far we get. I think that, it definitely wasn't at first, but as time went on, the impact of the consoles in general began to be felt more and more. But you're right. I've talked to enough people to know that in the UK, just consoles in general weren't a thing. You had your own homegrown industry of minis that were so much cheaper than the consoles. I mean, if you could go down to, your local drugstore and buy, a cassette for $2.99 versus you have these games that are coming out at like 50 quid a piece, it's no wonder. Yeah, no kidding, Duncan. There's a direct line can be drawn. I'll try and see if we can get to the negative world. So this is an infamous glitch where you actually jump backwards through this block, if you can do it. And you can go to the famous negative world. Now, I don't know if this is something that's easier to do on an emulated system or more difficult. I am not having a whole lot of luck with it right now. But this is exactly how you do it if you want to try it at home. If you hit that block in just the right pixel, then you will go through it and you will actually travel backwards, moonwalking through the wall and go to world -1. But I am not able to do it. All right. Yeah, it was one of those things that kids always talked about. Somebody knew somebody that had done it. This is of course long before the internet or YouTube or anything like that. And you always thought it was fake. And then I remember when I got a Game Genie, you could also access the negative world through one of those cheats. And I think I even got to it before I had the Game Genie. I think I had one of those How to Win at Nintendo Games books. And it told you how to do it. And I remember the first time I got to it, it was just so crazy that such a thing could happen. Has anybody been watching Awesome Games Done Quick? Speaking of tons of glitches and things. I watched Sonic 1. It was a really good playthrough. Tons of glitches in that, where you basically just hit the right place in the beginning of the level and it warps you to the end. Just an amazing amount of skill involved in doing that. one of the things, I mean, there are so many things that Miyamoto did right here in the level design of this game, but one of the things that it took European game designers a long time to suss out was that your levels, you can have, it's better to have lots of short levels than a few really, really long levels. You know, it's still, games like Zool still, you know, where they were still trying to figure that out well into the 90s. $248 negative worlds, wow. Wow, Pixels. Well, prepare to be amazed at my skill then. So, since I was going for that negative world trick, actually, you know what? We're going to reset this real quick because I really do want to get to the end if I can. And in order to get to the end quickly, I've got to use the warps. And so we'll just go back to the beginning. And we'll play real fast. Oops. So warp zones, I'm not sure, you know, how that became a thing, or if they existed in games before Mario. You got to remember, this game came out in 1983 in Japan. So we tend to think about the Mario series as starting in the mid to late 80s because that's when we saw it. But this game is, and that makes it even more impressive that it's, you know, this old and this good. Huh. That's pretty cool. I'd love to have one of those old store displays. I have no idea where I'd put it, but those kind of things are just so neat. The Atari store displays were a thing of beauty. You know, I've never seen, do you guys remember seeing, UK folks, do you remember seeing like a ZX Spectrum store display where they'd have games kind of set up like that? I guess because of the load times, you really couldn't just like rapid fire between games like that. Oh yeah, I'm sure. Because I mean, they didn't make a lot of those, and so many of them were probably just thrown in dumpsters when they were done. So 4-1 is, I remember it being so hard when I was a kid, and then I realized that you could actually just keep running, and it's not so hard after all. You have to pause a little bit there. That makes sense. Yeah, there are a lot of ways that you can manipulate a computer. I remember maybe it was Flack was telling the story one day when he went to a computer showroom and they had a computer directly attached to a printer, and whatever you would type, it would print on the printer. And he ran, of course, the classic, you know, 10 print, hi, hello world, or whatever, probably something obscene, and then go to 10. And it just spools and spools of paper turned out of this thing. So that's a pretty famous glitch there where you can walk up the wall. And here is the entrance to the final 3 levels. Is the GX 4000, that's the, is that the, I don't know what that is. What is that, Paul? Yeah, something like that, right, Pixels? Yeah, there's a lot of ways that you can get into mischief, for sure. Oh, Amstrad Plus, okay. I remember reading in Retro Gamer a about that in one of their early issues. It seems like that was all the rage again, as, you know, Britain kind of saw the writing on the wall, and they were like, boy, these consoles are getting big. Let's make consoleized versions of our consoles without upgrading them at all, or offering, you know, minimal upgrades, and hoping the public is, you know, naive enough to buy them again. And of course, that very rarely worked. Although the original Amstrad with its multicolored keys is something I would dearly love to acquire. Yeah, the 64 GS, the Atari XE GS. The 64 GS didn't even come out in America, even though it was a Commodore deal. The XE GS did come out here in like 1987, once the Nintendo was fully dominant. Paul, are you all packed and ready to go to Ireland? Now, one thing I did not do that I should have done was stocked up on extra lives. There's a trick you can do in World 3 that lets you get 99 guys. And so, normally that's what you need to be able to beat this thing, because I tend to die a lot, especially in 8.2. 8.2 is actually, I think it's the hardest board in the game, except for the very last Hammer Bro in 8.4, which always gives me trouble. I will be there from Thursday until Sunday, so a very short, no, I take it back, from Friday until Sunday. So a very short trip on my end. This is a really tricky jump. You've got to push over, hold down B, and then press A at the last minute. I make it look easy because I've only done it 6 billion times, but if you're just getting started, that's not an easy jump to make. We'll just wait for these guys to die and move on. That's true. That's true. Pixels is going to be helping me with the trivia contest. In fact, Pixels, what I should be doing right now instead of streaming video games is finalizing the rules of the event and the layout and everything, for your approval. But I'm pretty excited. I'm going to try and pick up some dry erase boards. And what we're going to do is, instead of having like raise your hand when you know the answer, it'll be pub quiz style, where you write your answer down on the dry erase board and then you get points, you know, if you get it right. Then after so many rounds, whoever has the most points is the winner. And we can do lightning rounds and things like that. Oh boy, this is a sticky situation. So these Hammer Bros, they don't mess around. And I believe there is a... That is very helpful. Okay. But, and we'll do it pub quiz style too, where we'll say, you know, and the category is blah, blah, blah. And then, oops. All right. This is where the game gets more difficult. But like, if you look at Gianna Sisters on the C64 and you play this and that back to back, there's, you know, of course Gianna Sisters was a ripoff of Mario Brothers, but it's possible if they had, you know, if Commodore had Japanese developers, then they could have made something happen. But, oh shoot. Well, that's alright. Damage boost through that. But it was just, you know, the Japanese just had the knack at the time to make these platformers. Versus like the games like King's Quest and Ultima and stuff like that. Those are, you know, where Western development has always shown. funny, I was watching a documentary on Japan this morning about this guy that works as a translator. He didn't say for what company, but he worked on the Dynasty Warrior series. So is that Capcom? Konami? I don't know. This is the last world of the game, by the way. And there's a maze, and you can go down all of these pipes. So it's just about finding the right pipe to go down. Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! That was scary. Oh, that's awesome, Pixels. Now, I'm doing this fully by memory, of course, and I hope that my memory is correct because it's actually been a while. Okay, I did do it right. But you're gonna... The problem with this level is that if you die, you have to go back to the beginning. There's no checkpoints. And this last Hammer Brother is just so freaking difficult. And of course, there's no big men, so... And it's like I always get stuck. Like, trying to figure out exactly when to run under them. Alright, alright. Here we go. I was the last guy of the game. Try it again. Yeah, this is, you know, ideally I'd want to be big going through here. I should have just made a save state there. Done it the old cheating way. Which we might do next time. Let's see. Yeah, they throw everything at you in this. The fish, the octopi. Now, one thing later Mario games did... Okay. So now we save. Okay. Yeah, they definitely... okay. And then save one more time. That's it. I got it. I got it. Bam! All right. Thank you, guys. So, I don't feel like today was a total waste. And what you can do, just like with the original Legend of Zelda, is you can actually play through the game again on a harder difficulty level. Thank you. Thank you, guys. I don't know. Oh, is that blindfolded? I've seen the picture on Netflix of whoever that girl is with the thing around her stuff. But so that was the whole game played in the shortest way possible. So this game has 32 levels, and if you play, if you go through all the warp zones, then you only actually have to play 1-1, 1-2, 4-1, 4-2, and then 8-1, 8-2, 8-3, and 8-4 to beat the game. So this is the fastest way through it. If I were to play through all the levels, it would have taken much longer. However, I would like to show you the trick I wanted to tell you about. The trick I was going to do before I forgot, which is in 3-1. It's a way to get 99 guys. It's just kind of another neat little trick that was passed around on the schoolyards of Hurricane, West Virginia in the late 80s. Oh yeah, I'm definitely up there with those guys. No question about it. I mean, those guys, I mean, you saw, it probably took me, I don't know, 10 or 12 minutes, maybe even longer to beat that. And there's guys that can do it. I think the world record is just about 3 minutes and something, so. But I'll show you, we'll go to World 3 real quick. And I'll show you the trick to get tons of lives, because it's a neat trick. Hey, 10-minute Amiga Retrocast, 10 mark. Well, I don't know about skills. It's a childhood well wasted, I guess. Minute Amiga Retrocast, are you making the trip across the sea to Amiga Ireland next week? Oh no. Come back to me. Come back to me. Woo. So if we go to World 3 here. And another great, I mean, there are so many things I could wax poetic about Mario all day, but having, you know, it's the same assets, but changing them slightly. Like this is, World 3 is the darkness level, you know? It made it seem like the game was much more epic than it was, just by little changes like that. Having the water. This water, of course, you cannot swim in, and is instant death. Where the Hammer Brothers make their first appearance. I'm going to try and make it to the... I'll show you this vine. You can climb up to a secret zone. And again, this is old hat by the time that, you know, everybody caught on. But remember, this game was from 1983. Just such a quantum leap. Secret areas. Awesome star music. Oh no! I didn't get perfect. Yeah, whatever. See if I can get the last 3. Nope. Okay. So now we come to the end of the level. This is slightly harder to do with Fire Flower Mario, but I think I can do it. So what you have to do is you bounce on this turtle. And you have to be able to jump, but you can see you bounce it back against itself, and you do it enough times because this is like a counter: 100, 400, 800. It's really hard to get it on the thing and talk at the same time. Come on. Anyway, you can see it for a second. I had it going there for a minute. Oh, there we go again. Anyway, you do that enough times, almost out of time. And now you can see when I go to the next stage. You have Crown B, because once you get above 20 guys, I think it just changes to strange things, strange symbols. So anyway, I think that's as good a place as any to wrap up today's NES stream. So thank you, Tin Mark, Fishbot, Pixels at Dawn, Duncan Styles, Ricky DeRocher, Retro Hammer, and anybody, Paul Harrington, anybody else that has been hiding out silently. Andy, thank you for being here. We're going to do some more NES stuff perhaps tomorrow, because I have the day off work tomorrow. might get back on and stream some games. So no problem, Andy. Like I said, you know, I've got tomorrow off, so I may do another stream probably around this time tomorrow, as long as nothing crazy happens. Some more NES fun. So sorry Elite didn't work out. You know, we'll give the server some time to recover after today's madness, but I will play Elite Dangerous on a stream and give my thoughts on that, but not today. Anyway, thanks for stopping by, guys. I will see you later on. Adios.